To another video. This topic will be all about AI agents in regards to coding assistants. So to begin off with, we're going to look at the summary that I gathered from the video called Best of 2024 in Agents by Latent Space. So the premise is that in 2024, the coding agents were revolutionizing the software development by automating tasks such as data analytics, software creation, and other improvements. I'd like to talk first about the role of Open Hands and their company. So Open Hands focuses on building open source code. The premise of this is because they want to have people access it. That way they're not paying for a subscription, such as ChatGPT's O4, I believe it is, that they're using now, or they're even be on to the next version of the GPT. So in this case, they want to make an affordable large language model that could be implemented by anybody that wants to implement them into their applications or the websites for any future tasks. Their approach involves in providing agents with the ability to call Python code, and it'll simplify the process of interacting with other APIs and tools. So, for example, you write a Python script and you want to use a API from anywhere in the internet, you could potentially implement this with OpenHands AI model, and it'll allow the agents to perform complex tasks without the need of multiple tools and calls, which enhances their efficiency. The challenges in designing coding agents is the agent computer interface. So the primary concern in developing the coding agents is how they interact with the computers, meaning the way you write the code essentially and how do you want them to work. And pretty much they aim to provide necessary tools to navigate the websites, write codes, and execute tasks efficiently. Which means in the future that, for example, you want to have an AI agent to build any code you want, it'll be possible to do that. And they could even execute the tasks that you want. So, what they want to do is effectively reduce the amount of tools or APIs that you may require in your future projects. And some of their functionalities will include execution, file editing, and web browsing. So, the next topic is human agent interactions. So another challenge is how to communicate between the human users and the agents. So they strive to present information clearly, right, which would allow the user to understand how the agent's going to take that prompt and work with it. Example is when an agent executes a command, it provides a brief description of the action, and it'll enable the user to follow along without them over explaining the details. So it'll be more of an abstract method or basis that the user will get. That way they're not bombarded with high end terminology. From the video, there were some predictions for 2025. For example, is enhanced instructions. So as the large language models evolves, their ability to follow complex instructions are going to improve, and that'll reduce the work for engineering. So it means that the more we progress and evolve, right, I'm pretty sure in the future that large language models will be able to auto tune themselves, meaning that an engineer won't have to manually go and scourge all the prompts for them to fine tune their large language models. The next prediction is an increase in accessibility. So the cost of running the agent is expected to decrease, which is a good thing, right? Because it saves money, it saves memory, and it saves time effectively. So by making more powerful tools and more accessible to wider audiences, it is expected that agents will run at a faster rate and get more results quicker and more accurately. The next prediction for 2025 is the improved error recovery. So the predictions from the video states that future agents will likely exhibit better error awareness. So, for example, if you give it a complicated prompt, it won't just randomly loop over it and never give you anything as a result. For example, if you're trying to build a large complex application, right, there may be some errors in that code, and this potentially might mitigate those errors that we may encounter. And the last prediction is new benchmarks. So as agents become more capable, they will develop more challenging benchmarks to evaluate the performance. So we could create harder prompts or even puzzles for AIs to mimic real life situations, which will essentially just make the AI, the large language model, more effective in recognizing what is being asked. And then from the video, it also talks about the importance of accessibility. And it states that it is crucial that the advancements in coding agents do not create a divide in access to technology. What I could infer from this is that we don't want to make it so that all technology that we create or any application we create is solely based on AI, right? We want to make it diverse as possible, meaning we also want human interactions as much as we can. And then it also states that we should strive to make tools affordable and available for everybody. So we want to allow people to be able to access these tools not behind a paywall from certain companies like Sierra, Chat GPT, or Llama Index, or even LangChain for that matter of fact, right? We want this to be accessible and be able to use freely and commonly depending on the applications that you're working on or web pages you're working on. And in conclusion, coding agents are set to revolutionize the world, which is true. As a matter of fact, new discoveries, new language models are being developed as we speak. And by automating root tasks and enhancing productivity, the agents have a potential to transform how we approach coding and software creation, which is true, right? Many companies are working hand in hand with AI models to generate new and amazing technologies that would further help the mankind, right? And as well, it talks about it continues to develop and refine these tools, and it's essential to prioritize accessibility, usability, and ensure that anybody can benefit from the advancements in the current related field, right? Which is a good thing for everybody. Next, I want to talk about Pragmatic Coder's best developer AIs for coding, right? So from the webpage, they have a tier list, right? We have Aider and some other ones like GitHub's Copilot. And it's based on a tier system, right? Which ones you could ignore that don't work so well, promising they have more work to be done to be at a higher tier, right? And then we have some of the commons like Google's Gemini, then we have ChatGPT, right? But from my understanding, the one I use when I create my web pages, when I have some abstract questions to ask it, is GitHub Copilot, just because it gives me the best results for what I need. And last but not least, I want to talk about another coding framework by LangChain. So LangChain's goal is to pretty much facilitate another framework which allows developers to create chatbots, virtual assistants, and any other tools. And the way they implement it is mainly by Python and JavaScript. I try to get a demo. However, I don't want to input my information, so I don't want to do that and just give them my information for free. However, I did find some research on LangChain, so it is an open source framework, right? And it's mainly to simplify the development of applications. And like I said, they want to work with voice assistants, virtual assistants, and any other tools. So, for example, what is LangChain useful for? Building chatbots, virtual assistants, question answering systems, so like Q&As, right? Content summarization. So let's say you have a large PDF or a large amount of text you want to condense, right, and have it summarized. It could also do that. And then it also does what a Llama Index does, which has its search and retrieval augmented generation. So the RAG is in play again. So pretty much it'll allow to enhance and refine more accurate searches in the long term. Some pros and cons, right? Some pros, it's modularity and flexibility. So you could customize it however you want, right? So you could scale it, downscale it, and make it only used in your niche application. and it supports multiple large language models such as APIs, Open APIs, ChatGPT, Cohere, and Hugging Faces models, which we discussed previous weeks. It has comprehensive documentation, so it means it has good documents, right? So you can read along with it and make it easier for you to understand the implementations behind it. And it also has a active community, which means it'll be having long-term support, right? And then some of the cons is the learning curve. It's not easy to understand and like understand all the features that it has. There's some performance overhead, right? So in high level extractions, it could be slower. And there's a dependency management. So managing the dependencies can be tricky, especially with frequent updates. So let's say there's the since LangChain is ever evolving, right? There is more of a need to have more packages and dependencies added into your implementation while using LangChain. And that's the end of my presentation, guys. Thank you for staying with me, and I'll see you on the next one.